Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this continuation of the budget meeting to order. I am stepping in for the chairman, the mayor. He's unable to attend tonight, and Mr. Hockman as well. I'd like to turn it over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Olympio. So in front of you tonight, you have an updated proposed budget dated May 3rd, 2022. It is, as we discussed at the last budget meeting, the same bottom line number that we'll be requesting a vote, which is $83,106,902. The two changes in this one are line number 17019. Under the special education budget, you'll see an increase in the number of paraprofessionals at the integrated preschool. We brought that number back up to 17 paras, which is back to where we were 2 years ago, and there's additional paras in the revolving account as well. So I feel like we'll be fully staffed and have enough people there. The second line is in the high school. It's line 10, so 10030, building access attendance, has been increased from 3.8 to 5.8 FTEs to address some concerns there and provide additional support for the teachers. So those were the major changes that we had from, I guess, minor changes that we had from the last budget. And now I'll turn it over to Mr. Olympio and the committee if there are any additional questions as a follow-up from the last meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Vidala. Mr. Amico?
Thank you, through the chair, Dr. Vidala. Thank you so much for those changes. The increase over at the McCarthy, thank you for that one. And please just keep us updated. As we know, special education is fluid. We may need some additional support there. If there's anything else we can do on our end, just let us know, including an increase over there. But thank you for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And I'm sorry, could you just repeat that second change about the
in the high school,
attendance?
the building access attendants, there'll be 2 additional full-time building access attendants for Peabody High School.
Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Amico. Ms. Carpenter?
Thank you. Through the chair, Dr. Vidala, thank you for the updates. Could you remind me or tell me again where we stand with the coaches' increases?
Yes, so we currently have enough in the budget. If we wanted to do increases, we could do that during collective bargaining or in a separate session, but we do have money in the budget allocated, so there will be plenty of money under the salary line that if we were to increase the coaches' budgets, whatever the committee deemed appropriate, we have that in this current budget.
Thank you. Since we don't bargain with them, I would entertain through the committee that we do that increase here.
Okay.
Do you have figures at all for that?
So right now, where we currently stand, we spent $258,000 on coaches' salary, and we budget $298,000. So there's $40,000 for either additional coaches. I know you mentioned coaches at the high school, at the middle school. So there is a $40,000 set aside in there for either increases across the board or to pay additional salaries at, say, the middle school or sub-varsity sports or wherever we needed to add.
Where do we stand with the middle school coaches? Did we have a list of what they're?
We did. So in the middle school budget is the extracurriculars and the intramurals. So those are paid. The other coaches are currently volunteers. So we had baseball, softball, soccer, 8th grade basketball are all volunteer positions right now. Mm-hmm. The middle school track program is a paid position through the current track program. So that's an item that under the track coaches there is a paid position under basically the track program 6 through 12. But the other ones are currently volunteers.
They're all volunteers. How many did you say?
So I think it's boys and girls 8th grade basketball.
Basketball.
Softball, baseball. I believe there was a soccer at one time. So I think it's 5 overall positions that are volunteer.
I think I had something, excuse me for a minute. I had it in my phone somewhere. I mean, I feel that those positions should be paid as we're trying to increase the athletics and the sports to feed into our high school program. I appreciate the volunteers for the middle school, but I think to build upon those programs and to, help that situation, making those paid. I'm looking at cross-country, spring track, baseball, softball, and grade 8 basketball, boys and girls. That's what I have listed. Is that what you said? Did you say have cross-country on yours?
Yeah, so I believe the cross-country and the spring track, those two positions are paid through the cross-country and track budgets.
Okay.
Whether the freshman coaches' salaries are being allocated there. The baseball, softball, and the boys and girls 8th grade basketball are the 4 that are currently not paid.
Okay. I would like to see those put in the budget as a paid position, similar to, I assume, the high school ones. And then an increase on all of the coaches' salaries as well, if we could put that into the budget. We don't bargain with them at this time, so that would be difficult to do if we didn't do it here on the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Carpenter. Ms. Dunn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question. Our substitute lines in the budget are, what do we pay our substitutes per day? Do you know?
I believe we increased that, the committee increased that, so it's a little bit more than the contract says. I think we went up, we have 100 is a set fee, and then we pay an additional like $10 per category.
Okay.
So like 100, 110, 120.
Okay. Because I'm just wondering, I want, for one thing, I want to make sure we're paying them more than minimum wage, because that's been an issue all along. And I want to make sure, please, take a look through the budget next time we meet. Make sure, if anyone in here is being paid minimum wage, we need to go up as of January 1st anyway, but I'd like to make sure that we have in the budget increased those funds. And on the substitutes, I wanted to make sure that there is enough in there to increase the pay, well, at a minimum, for the minimum wage, but also to make sure that if we could, to go up, because I know it's very, very difficult to get the substitutes, and I know that our pay is on the low end compared to local communities, so people in other communities are getting the subs before Peabody. So as long as, if it's built in here now, then that's really good, but please
Yes, we
make
did
sure.
increase last year across all boards. The committee voted to make sure that we weren't in a position that we would, for all of the increases of minimum wage, to make sure that we weren't under that.
Yeah.
And so, I do know that we have an additional salary reserve number in this budget for collective bargaining. So a lot of these items that will be tackled during collective bargaining, we have adjusted that as well. So we'll make sure that no one will be paid minimum wage, and those increases will come through the general course of business. But I feel comfortable that the budget here can support those increases.
Okay, very good, thank you. I was looking up a question I had. You can go on to the next person while I look for this, I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. In our budget, and I know we have hired under ESSER and ARPA funds, and there's an audit being done in the state of Massachusetts about the use of that money. Can we, in our budget, keep track of any positions that we're funding under the emergency federal aid, so that going forward, we're going to know which positions would be impacted if that aid is cut, or God knows what's going to happen, just so that we could see it before it happens. And I know we've got some handouts of different things. We even had some, in the last budget, but if we could collate that and make that available for us so that we know and can keep an eye on that. I don't know when any of that action would take place. It's coming out of the federal government.
Yes, so we have the original budget that we proposed, which was the $86.6 million budget, is everything included. And then we allocated $3.5 million for ESSER 3. There is a handout detailed
Right.
line by line that has that, so I can get you another copy of that as well. We are planning that this is a sustainable budget over time, so we do anticipate that because the Student Opportunity Act is in year 2, that we didn't go up this year. So for example, if you look at like the Chapter 70 page on DESE, it says that Peabody's budget should have gone up $10 million. We know that that's not sustainable. So we went up from last year to this year a little over $5 million. We got 7.5 from Chapter 70 because of the Student Opportunity Act.
Yeah.
So we anticipate that next year we'll receive more money in Chapter 70 from Student Opportunity, and we'll also receive more money in the federal grants, Title I, the entitlement grants, Title I, and the IDEA special ed grant. So we feel like these numbers here are not going to have us fall off a cliff. We feel this is sustainable. If we put out like a $90 million budget or a $95 million budget, I think that wouldn't be fiscally responsible. But knowing, like last year, our minimum net school spending was 74, and our voted budget was 76.6. So the city came to the table, because it was the first year out of the pandemic and we needed additional resources. They came to the table with more money. We used some ESSER money, and then this year we got that 7.5. So it was an investment knowing that we were going to receive that money coming forward. So I do think that this is a budget that can be sustainable and that we're not going to fall off a cliff. So I have the handout for next year, what we're anticipating paying out of that budget, but we also have a plan that, we don't anticipate that these positions will be cut. We have a plan to make sure that it's sustainable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Anybody else? We're late tonight.
Through the chair. So we have the public hearing already set, is that?
So the public hearing is scheduled for two weeks from tonight, May 17th. And
Was that 6:30? What time did we set that for?
I believe it's 6:30, but I will double check.
I think I wrote down
6:30.
6:30.
Yep, so 6:30 here at the Higgins.
Okay. Okay. So I would just ask, I suppose that would be the next time that we're meeting, just to get some figures on the coaches and,
So, just quick back of the napkin math, a 3% raise in all salaries, plus 4 additional freshman level
Yep.
would be well within our budget. We'd still have a little bit of wiggle room there as well. I'm not sure what percentage you're looking for. I mean, we can calculate it a couple different ways. But that's just, back of the napkin, we're plenty of room in what we have.
in what we have, you can make those additions.
Yep, it could be a 3% raise for all coaches and an additional 4 positions at the middle school to be paid.
In the similar of the freshmen.
Yes, yeah, and I think that would be an appropriate amount of time that they spend and amount of games that they have.
Okay.
Would be about I think the freshman pay is around $2,800.
So I'd make that in the form of a motion to be included in this budget, that it's a 3% increase
Okay.
for the coaching staff and the additional 4 middle school coaches with the similar freshman rate.
Okay, yep. And we can fund that through the current budget.
Yes.
Yep, you got it.
Second.
Roll call vote? Yes.
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 Yeah.
Okay. So I'll make sure we adjust that pay scale, and we'll get a copy of that to the committee.
Another question through the chair. Dr. Vidala, in regards to the paras and general education lines, with the ESSER, we have cushions for the fluid things that could take place if we need to increase on paras in any of those. There's a lot of things that happen, it ebbs and flows in regards to class sizes, transient population, kids coming in. We still have enough cushion to handle any of those situations.
Yes, and we're fortunate that we have some room in the IDEA grant that we can fund additional positions as they come in. Preschool, for example, if there's a need for a one-on-one, we can use the revolving account, and then we also have the cushion of the ESSER money. So we do have some cushion here that if we needed to hire, and we're being lean with what we're budgeting because we want it to be long-term, but we're fortunate that we have some room if there needed to be a student moves in, has a one-on-one on their IEP, we could do that. If we needed an additional kindergarten class, we would hire a kindergarten teacher plus a para. So we would have the ability to do that. So we are fortunate with what we have right now.
Okay, because that would definitely be a concern. I think that we're seeing a really big change and difference in the needs of our students, the sizes of some of the classes, and for you to be able to ensure us that, when something comes up and there's a need for additional staff in those places, we're going to be able to take care of that.
Yes, and I'll bring it to the committee and we'll vote on the floor before we expend the money, but it'll be something similar to, I think, was it last summer, I think it was last summer, we came to the committee, there was a bubble at the center school and we needed another teacher, we put it into Title I, so we were able to fund that position, and then it went into the budget this year. So things like that, I'll come to the committee. We did that at the high school with a couple positions as well. So as things come up, I'll come to the committee if we need an additional allocation and talk about how we'll fund it, but wouldn't expend the money without the committee's approval.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carpenter.
I have another question on ESSER. On any of the funds that we're holding, just, kind of holding on to, are we going to use any of those, or is the city eligible to use any of those for any of the air quality improvements that were highlighted throughout the pandemic that we are allowed to use them for?
So the city could use the ARPA funds for that. So the city received, I think, $21 million in ARPA funds. They have set aside a number of that for capital type projects. So that would be inappropriate use of those funds.
Good, okay. All right, I know that would be a separate piece for the budget, so hold that, but we'll come back to it at another time.
Absolutely.
But I definitely want to see if we're going to use some of that money to do those improvements.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Mr. Amico?
Before we end, I just wanted to, through the chair, thank all our teachers here in the city of Peabody at the elementary level, middle school level, pre-K, high school. It's been a very challenging year. They do an incredible job. Many of them are Peabody residents. They're just, they give back to the community, so I just wanted to, I know we all feel the same about them. We've always been a pro-teacher school committee here. They're our first and last defense to our children, and we respect them very, very much. And this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. I think every week should be, but just wanted to just thank them for all they do. Thanks.
Well said, Mr. Amico. Make a motion to suspend the budget meeting? Okay, it's done.
I apologize, I had missed last week's meeting. As far as, and I didn't look in here, I couldn't see it in here, did we put an Italian teacher back in at the high school for world languages?
There is an Italian teacher in the budget. Yes,
Oh,
that never came out. Yep.
Okay,
So there is an Italian teacher in the budget.
good, all right, thank you. I wanted to make sure of that.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
And this is a snapshot in time, so, it's, I know that we talk about, we need to get everything in, but this is a snapshot in time, and, we know that people resign and people, there are new hires and things are flexible. This is a snapshot in time. It's not necessarily like our checkbook, there are some things that are fluid, and as things come up, I'm always available. Larry Fleming, our new business manager, started yesterday, so we're happy to have Larry on board. He's a great resource, and so there'll be ongoing discussions about budgeting and expenditures of funds. So if you think of anything, I mean, we certainly can discuss that. So this isn't our last chance.
Okay, good, okay. All right, thank you. And I know we weren't going to take any major votes tonight until everybody's here, so, okay.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. We are all set. Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Recess.